One of the common themes that comes up with people that follow people on social media, a lot of times online in general, everyone can deal with bullying, things that, negative things that are pretty serious. Obviously, we see this popping up in the news a lot of time. It really affects people. You guys are in a position where, depending on how much weight you give comments, negative comments and things, it can really, it could lead you to a dark place. How do you get through that? How do you deal with it? And I guess, what's your piece of advice for just regular people that deal with bullying online, things like that?
We went through a lot of this, I remember in the beginning especially, and there were so many there was a small percentage of negative comments, but the negative comments were so hurtful because they were comparing us to each other and just saying such incredibly mean things that were so hurtful that we didn't really talk about it for a while. And then finally, I remember I sat everyone down and I'm like, guys, let's talk about some of the stuff that people are saying, like the body comment, talking about our bodies when you're a teenager, especially, what? I'm like, let's talk about that. And I remember saying, you don't have a responsibility to be perfect or look perfect at all. So if someone says you don't look the way they want, you don't have to look the way they want. And I think the best thing that helped us was I said, we should all picture the person. They're sitting there on their phone or the computer and they're just typing a comment. It doesn't have to be that threatening unless you make it that threatening. So it's I think things that are mean sometimes, and I've said mean things in my life, but I don't think a person should take my opinion that seriously that it ruins their life. So if I'm gonna think these mean things sometimes, then maybe if a person is gonna type it, I can just kind of shrug it off more and be like, it's okay. It was just something they said, and I don't need to take it as the most important opinion in the world.
What do you think people can do? What do you think you can do as artists with the platform you have to help sort of redirect the trend of sort of cyberbullying, online things like that? Is there steps that normal people can take and that you can take?
I think there's two things. First of all, you have to lead by example. You need to stop addressing the haters. There's no point.
Stop addressing them.
Okay? Unless they're spreading horrible, threatening rumors that are gonna ruin your life or something, which usually they're not. So just stop talking to them. Just don't. The less that you address them, the less that you feed them, because that's their food. And then
that's their food.
That's the food of the bread of their soul is you acknowledging them. They're like, yes, they heard me. They're sad. Woohoo!
But what we do is we just try to put out a lot of the opposite, a message of self-worth and a positive message. That's what our whole career is. So we just focus on that as much as possible so that there's something positive out there. But I think it's a temptation to go in the negative direction because that can get a lot more attention. But we are no, just don't go in that direction.
Yeah. Also, something that you guys can do, literally anyone could do, is connecting with people more and treating people better, because when someone is disconnected from the world, when they feel like everyone hates them, then they're gonna hate on other people, and that's where those people come from. So you can do that in your own life. You can prevent other people from going around and attacking other people by being nicer, just in general.
Also, if you don't read stuff about yourself or that anyone says, and if you don't look at it, it literally does not exist to you. It doesn't exist in your universe.
Yeah, you
have to
read it.
Leave it behind.
My one last thing I was gonna say is, if you hear someone in person saying something mean about someone else, please stand up for them and be like, hey, that's rude. Most people go, oh, wow, I'm being rude right now, and they stop. They're not like, ha ha, I love being a jerk. They're just not thinking. Just be like, hey, don't say that, and they'll stop.